My name is Halston Vieira, and for most of my adult life, I've believed that beauty could fix anything if you staged it well enough. I'm 29 years old, born and raised in South Florida, and I make my living in Miami's luxury real estate staging industry. It's a world of glass penthouses, glossy marble floors, and ocean view balconies that look like they were carved directly out of a daydream. Homes here aren't sold, they're performed. And I was good at performing them. For the last 3 years, I co-owned a boutique staging company called Vera plus Cole Aesthetics. It started as a passion project between me and Jackson Cole, someone I once trusted enough to call a friend, a partner, maybe even a brother in ambition. Halston, no one sees texture like you, he used to say. You don't just decorate spaces, you translate them. I believed him. I believed everything. Our office sat on the 15th floor of a downtown high-rise overlooking Biscayne Bay. Every morning, sunlight would hit the water and scatter into the room like broken diamonds. I'd sip my iced cortado, open my laptop, and feel like I was building something real, something that could last. But the thing about Miami is, nothing shiny stays solid for long. The first crack appeared on a Tuesday. I remember because Tuesdays were always hectic. New listings, new deadlines, and Jackson always pretending he was drowning so I'd do the heavy lifting. That morning, I noticed we'd lost 3 potential contracts in a single week. 3 high-end clients, gone without explanation. Is something happening? I asked Jackson, leaning against the doorway of his office. He didn't look up from his screen. Clients think we're slipping, he muttered. They say the last projects lacked your usual quality. My stomach dropped. My quality? Jackson, I'm the one pulling 12-hour days. I'm literally editing mood boards in my sleep. Look, he sighed, finally meeting my eyes. I'm just telling you what they said. The conversation felt wrong, scripted, almost rehearsed, but I didn't push. I should have. I should have torn the truth out of him right there. Instead, I walked away, wondering if maybe I was slipping. Maybe exhaustion was showing. Maybe my instincts were dulling. That was the start of the unraveling. 2 days later, I met with a developer named Alyssa Grant, someone we'd worked with for years. She pulled me aside outside a Biscayne construction site. Halston, I need to ask, why did you insult my last condo project in your client review? My heart stopped. What review? She handed me her phone. There it was. A 1-star review, supposedly written by me, complaining about unreasonable deadlines and cheap materials. I felt sick. I never wrote that. I would never sabotage a client. Alyssa, this isn't me. Someone faked this. She studied my face, searching for any sign of guilt. I held her gaze until she finally nodded. I believe you, she said softly, but someone is trying to burn your reputation. I got back to the office trembling. Jackson was lounging on the couch, scrolling through his phone like he didn't have a care in the world. Did you write fake reviews under my name? I asked, voice shaking. He didn't even blink. Why would I sabotage my own company? I stared at him. His calmness didn't feel like innocence. It felt like practice, like he had rehearsed this kind of denial. I don't know, I said quietly, but someone is clearly. Maybe, he interrupted. Clients are picking up on your stress. You've been emotional lately. Not as sharp. Emotional, not sharp. The words slid under my skin like tiny blades. I walked out before he could say anything else. But as the elevator doors closed, one thought lodged itself in my chest like a weight. He's setting me up. The next week, everything collapsed. An email circulated among agents claiming our company had unreliable communication and unprofessional behavior, all supposedly coming from me. Another client accused me of going behind Jackson's back, which made 0 sense. I confronted him again. Why are multiple clients receiving complaints under my name? He shrugged. You're unstable lately, Halston. Maybe you forgot what you sent. Forgot? I'm meticulous. I triple-check everything. I could barely speak. My chest felt tight. That night, after everyone left, I stayed in the office alone. I needed answers. I needed proof. So I opened our shared drive, contracts, client forms, email threads, and that's when I saw it. A folder labeled Archive JC. Inside were dozens of falsified documents, fake client complaints, fake review drafts, even fabricated email screenshots blaming me for losing contracts. He'd been preparing this for months. My vision blurred, my hands went cold. This wasn't just sabotage, it was a full-blown strategy to erase me from the company I helped build. And then I found the worst file of all, a drafted proposal, ready to send to investors, stating that Jackson would be taking full ownership of Vera plus Cole because I had become a liability. A liability. I pressed a hand over my mouth, fighting the wave of nausea. My identity, my career, my entire sense of stability. He was dismantling it piece by piece. I felt the betrayal in my bones. But beneath the nausea, beneath the fear, something else flickered alive. Rage. Slow, hot, electric. He thought he could bury me with fake stories. He thought he could rewrite my name out of the industry. He had no idea who he was dealing with. Because if Jackson wanted a story, I would give Miami one they'd never forget. I closed the laptop slowly, wiped my face, and whispered to myself, "Okay, Halston, if he wants to lie, you'll give the truth a megaphone." The elevator dinged behind me. Footsteps entered the office. I turned, and there he was, Jackson, standing in the doorway, expression unreadable. "What are you doing here this late?" he asked. His voice was too calm. I snapped the laptop shut. "Nothing," I said. But his eyes dropped to the screen, and I saw the moment he realized I knew. His smile faded. His jaw tightened. He stepped closer. "Halston, we should talk." My pulse thundered. Because for the first time, I saw something in his eyes I had never seen before. Fear. And that's when I knew. This was only the beginning. Jackson closed the distance between us slowly, like he was approaching a wild animal he wasn't sure he could control. The office lights reflected off the glass walls, turning his shadow long and distorted behind him. I gripped the edge of my desk, grounding myself. "Halston," he said again, softer this time, "you're clearly overwhelmed. Let me help." "Help!" The word curdled in my stomach. "I'm not overwhelmed," I replied, steadying my voice. "I'm just not blind." His jaw twitched. "I don't know what you think you saw, but going through private company files after hours, it's not a good look." I almost laughed. A good look. As if optics were the issue here. "What I saw," I said, "were fake complaints, fake reviews, fake emails, things written in my name." He inhaled sharply, then gave that same composed smile, the one he used whenever he sweet-talked clients into paying more. "You misunderstand the purpose of those drafts. They're templates, crisis management tools. You weren't meant to see them yet." Yet. My skin crawled. "Templates," I repeated. "You expect me to believe you created an entire folder of fabricated documents, just in case?" "That's how business works," he said. "You prepare for every scenario." "No," I whispered. "You prepare for one scenario, getting rid of me." That's when his mask cracked. A split second, but enough. He stepped closer. "Halston, listen to me carefully. You're emotional right now. If you keep this up, you're going to ruin your own career." Now there it was, the thread under the velvet. I straightened, feeling something inside me sharpen. "No," I said. "You already tried to ruin it. I'm just not going to let you finish." His eyes narrowed. "You shouldn't play games you can't win." Then he brushed past me, grabbed his jacket, and walked out of the office with a final, dismissive, "Get some rest." The door clicked. Silence swallowed the room. And that's when my real fear hit. If he already sensed I'd discovered the files, how long would it take him to destroy evidence? I needed to move, fast. I went home, but sleep was impossible. My apartment in Brickell overlooked the glittering skyline, but that night every light felt like an accusation. I paced between my living room and kitchen, replaying every red flag I'd ignored. Jackson accidentally locking me out of accounts. Jackson insisting on taking calls alone. Jackson offering to handle communication when things got busy. He'd been building this trap since day one. At 3:17 a.m., something inside me clicked into place. If he wanted to play businessman, I would become a strategist. I grabbed a notebook and started outlining my counterattack. Not revenge, not yet, but survival. Step 1. Secure evidence. Step 2. Contact former clients quietly. Step 3. Build a timeline that proved his pattern. Step 4. Find someone he'd never expect me to call. By sunrise, the fear in my chest had turned into something sharper. Purpose. The next morning, I arrived at the office early. Too early. I took the stairs instead of the elevator. My footsteps echoed up the concrete staircase as adrenaline buzzed in my arms. The moment I entered the office, I headed straight to the shared drive and began copying everything. Every screenshot, every draft, every falsified complaint. I saved it in triplicate. A hard drive, a cloud backup, and a hidden external device tucked into my tote bag. If Jackson wanted war, he wouldn't be the only one prepared. While the files uploaded, I opened our email records. I hadn't planned to. It just felt like my hands were acting on instinct. And that's when I stumbled onto something new, something worse. He had been emailing real estate agents under a burner account, pretending to be me. One email read, "Just a heads up, Jackson is struggling, he's lost passion. I'm considering other business options." Another, "Keep this between us, but Jackson has been making mistakes. I'm managing most things alone." He was trying to frame me as the one sabotaging him. I felt my pulse in my throat. He was building a story where I was the villain. And then I found an email draft addressed to one of our biggest investors. Given Halston's recent behavior, I'm concerned about her emotional stability. I recommend transitioning her out of the company before she self-destructs publicly. I covered my face with both hands. I didn't know whether to cry or scream, but neither would help. I forced myself to breathe and kept collecting evidence. At 9:02 a.m., the elevator dinged. I froze. Footsteps. He was early. I closed windows, minimized folders, and pretended to be organizing the sample books on my desk. Jackson walked in, holding a matcha latte, sunglasses pushed into his hair. He gave me a slow, assessing look. "You're in early." "So are you," I replied. "Well, someone needs to clean up the mess you made yesterday." My grip on the sample book tightened. He walked to his office, but before closing the door, he added, "Oh, and Halston, don't touch the shared drive today. It is doing maintenance." My blood ran cold. This was it. He was going to wipe evidence. I waited exactly 40 seconds after his door closed. Then I grabbed my laptop and left. Not quietly, not dramatically, just fast. I didn't stop walking until I reached the parking garage. My hands shook as I fumbled with my keys, but once I got into my car, I locked the doors and leaned back, heart pounding against my ribs. I had the evidence, but evidence alone wouldn't protect me. I needed people, witnesses, voices that could vouch for my character and call out his lies. So I made the first call on my list. "Hi, Alyssa, it's Halston." There was a pause. "Are you okay?" "No," I admitted. "But I'm doing something about it. Can we meet privately? I need to talk to you about Jackson." Silence again, then a slow exhale. "Name the place." I spent the rest of the day bouncing between cafes, parking lots, and quiet corners of office lobbies, meeting past clients one by one. Some weren't surprised. Some were furious on my behalf. All agreed to help. A developer even told me, "I stopped working with you because Jackson told me you were unstable." Unstable, the word again. He had been poisoning my name like a slow leak. By evening, I had a list of allies, and more stories proving his manipulation. But what I needed next was bigger, public, undeniable. That's when the idea hit me. A documentary, not a dramatic one. A simple, clear, evidence-driven mini-doc that would show exactly how Jackson fabricated complaints, forged reviews, and sabotaged me. He built his lies in the shadows. I'd expose them in broad daylight. I opened my laptop in my car, pulled out the external drive, and whispered, "Okay, Halston, it's time." My fingers hovered over the trackpad. But then, a tap on my window. I jumped. Outside stood a woman in sunglasses, holding a leather portfolio, someone I hadn't seen in years. My former mentor. And the look on her face said she wasn't there by accident. "Halston," she said through the glass, "we need to talk." Now, my breath caught. Because if she had shown up, then Jackson wasn't the only one playing a dangerous game. For a moment, I just stared at her through the car window. My former mentor, Celeste Marrow, the woman who taught me everything I knew about staging, branding, and how to survive in an industry built on illusions. I hadn't seen her in almost 4 years. Last we spoke, she'd left Miami suddenly after a messy fallout with a major developer. Rumors, lawsuits, whispers of someone trying to blacklist her. She told me she needed distance, and then she vanished from the scene like smoke. So why was she here now? I unlocked the door. She slid into the passenger seat, closing it gently behind her. Her lipstick, always the same soft mauve, looked untouched, but her eyes held something I had never seen before: urgency and fear. "Celeste," I breathed. "What are you doing here? How did you even find me?" She set her portfolio on her lap. "Halston, sweetheart, you're in danger." The words hit me like a bucket of ice water. In danger from who? Jackson? Her silence was the answer. She looked down, then reached into the portfolio and pulled out a stack of printed emails, dozens of them, clipped together. "Before you say anything," she said, "I need you to understand something. Jackson didn't just start doing this to you. This is how he operates. This is who he is." My chest tightened. "What do you mean?" She took a slow breath. 4 years ago. What happened to me? The rumors? The contracts disappearing? The bad reviews? She placed a hand over the stack of papers. "It was him, Halston. Jackson did it to me too." I felt every bone in my body go still. My heartbeat slowed, then sped up. "Why?" I whispered. "Because I rejected his proposal to merge our businesses. He didn't like hearing no. He wanted my client list, my partnerships, everything. And when I turned him down, he did what he always does." She tapped the stack. "He created a narrative where I was unstable, unprofessional, unreliable. He made it look like I was sabotaging deals, insulting clients, missing deadlines." My stomach twisted. "He destroyed your career," I murmured. "He tried," she corrected. "But I managed to leave before he could finish." What I didn't know was that he'd moved on, and that he'd picked someone else to groom. Her eyes locked onto mine. "You!" The car suddenly felt too small, too hot, too loud. I leaned back into the seat, pressing a hand against my forehead. "So he's done this before. He planned this. He targeted me." Celeste nodded slowly. "I heard whispers in the industry about him pulling strings again. When your name came up, I started digging. And Halston, if you don't act carefully, he will erase you. Completely." My throat felt tight. "I'm already collecting evidence," I said quietly. "Fake emails, fabricated complaints, burner accounts. Past clients are willing to speak." Celeste studied me for a long moment. Then she smiled, but not a joyful smile. A proud, dangerous one. "That's my girl," she said softly. "But you'll need more than evidence. Jackson is charming, calculating, and well-connected. He knows how to spin a story. He's already telling people you're unstable, irrational, paranoid." I clenched my jaw. "I know, I've seen the emails he drafted." "Then you know what we're up against." "We." The word steadied me. For the first time since this nightmare began, I didn't feel alone. "What do I do now?" I asked. Celeste's eyes flickered with something dark, something sharp. "You make a story louder than his." We went to a quiet rooftop cafe overlooking the Miami River. Celeste ordered chamomile tea. I ordered an iced latte even though my hands were shaking. She laid out her plan like someone who'd fought this battle before. "First," she said, "you secure your allies, the clients, the agents, anyone he's lied to." "I've already started." "Good. But don't just talk to them. Record them. With permission, obviously. You need spoken testimony, faces, voices. I nodded, taking notes. Second, she continued, you don't drop your documentary yet. I blinked. What? Why not? That's my biggest weapon. It is, she agreed. But if you release it too soon, he'll twist it. He'll claim you're retaliating out of insecurity. You need a timeline that shows his behavior escalating, and you responding responsibly, not emotionally. I leaned back, absorbing her words. Third, she said, leaning closer, you find the weak point in his narrative. Every manipulator has one. Something he didn't anticipate. And what's his? She paused. Then she pulled another paper from her portfolio. It was a screen capture of a forwarded email. From Jackson to a developer. Timestamp, 2 months ago. He wrote, between us, Halston isn't long for this company. I'm preparing a transition plan. She won't see it coming. My breath caught. Where did you get this? Someone he tried to manipulate sent it to me. Confidentially. My hands curled into fists. He planned to get rid of me before the supposed problems even started. Yes, Celeste said, which proves everything he's done since was premeditated. Premeditated. The word tasted like metal. I felt something inside me ignite. Not fear, not panic. A cold, clear fire. Celeste touched my arm gently. You need to be strategic, Halston. Smart. Quiet. Deadly. This man builds traps. But he never expects the people he targets to rise. I swallowed hard. So, what's next? She looked at me with an expression that almost felt like passing a torch. You prepare the documentary, she said, but you don't release it yet. You build tension. You gather more proof. You collect testimonies. And then, she snapped her fingers softly. You drop it at the exact moment he thinks he's won. I exhaled, slow and steady. That's poetic, I murmured. That's justice, she corrected. Before I could reply, my phone buzzed. A text notification from an unknown number. We need to talk. Now. AG. AG Alyssa Grant. My heart jumped. Celeste raised an eyebrow. Problem? I showed her the screen. She leaned back, eyes narrowing. Then go, she said. You're in the middle of a storm, sweetheart, and the next move is yours. I stood from the table, but just as I turned away, Celeste added, and Halston? I looked back. Don't underestimate how dangerous Jackson becomes when he senses he's losing. The warning lingered in the air like static. I walked to my car with a racing heart, opened the door, and slid inside. Before I could start the engine, my phone buzzed again. Another message. But this one made my blood run cold. You think I don't know what you're doing? JC. I froze. He knew. He knew something. A chill ran down my spine as I whispered to myself. Okay, Halston, don't break, don't blink. The war had officially begun. The moment I saw Jackson's message, you think I don't know what you're doing? I felt my entire body turn to ice. My first instinct was to delete it. My second was to throw my phone out the window. Instead, I forced myself to breathe. Don't panic, Halston. Panic is how he wins. But my pulse kept pounding, loud enough to drown out the sound of cars passing by in the Brickell parking garage. Before I could gather myself, my phone buzzed again. Another message. Let's meet. You owe me that much. JC. Owe him? I nearly laughed. But fear pushed up my spine like a cold hand. He was moving fast, faster than I expected. Something must have tipped him off. Was it Alyssa? Was it Celeste? Was it a client he'd spoken to? The possibilities tangled in my mind like wires sparking inside a burning wall. I stared at his message. Meeting Jackson now would be like walking straight into a trap, but ignoring him would make him escalate. I had to think strategically, not emotionally. So I typed, "We can talk tomorrow. I'm busy today." The dots appeared immediately. He was typing. Then they stopped, then started again. Finally, "Tomorrow won't work for me. I'll be at the office tonight. You should be too." JC. A command, not a request. I locked my phone, heart hammering at the inside of my ribs. And right then, my phone rang. The caller ID flashed. Alyssa Grant. I answered quickly. "Alyssa, I got your message. Are you okay? No, she said, voice trembling. Halston, something weird is happening. My stomach clenched. What did he do now? He emailed me, she whispered. 5 minutes ago. I sat up straighter. What did he say? She hesitated. That hesitation alone was enough to make nausea coil in my chest. He said you're spiraling, that you're dragging me into some kind of delusion. He told me not to speak to you again. And he said, her breath hitched. He said he's handling the situation before you do something irreversible. My blood went cold. That word, irreversible, wasn't an accident. He was painting me as unstable, volatile, a threat. A threat to who? To myself? To him? I clenched the steering wheel. Alyssa, don't believe anything he says. He's trying to isolate me. I know, she said quickly. I didn't respond. I wanted to tell you, and… Halston? Yes? She inhaled deeply. I think he's scared of you. I froze. What makes you say that? People don't try this hard to silence someone unless they're terrified of what they know. Her words struck something deep inside me. Fear wasn't one-sided anymore. Jackson was feeling it too. Thank you, I whispered. I'll be in touch. Just be careful. You too. I hung up and sagged back into my seat. This wasn't just sabotage now. This was preemptive damage control from a man who realized the walls were closing in, which meant he'd make a move soon. I needed to be ready. That evening, I drove home and spread everything I had across my living room floor. Screenshots, printouts, email chains, audio notes, statements from former clients. My small brickle apartment looked like a crime investigation board, because that's what it had become. I spent hours organizing it. Timeline first, documents second, testimonies last. My fingers shook as I highlighted connections and red-stringed lies. At 10:27 p.m., a knock sounded at my door. I froze. No one visits me this late. My breath hitched as I walked to the peephole. It wasn't Jackson. It wasn't a neighbor. It was Celeste. She was holding 2 takeout bags and wearing the same mauve lipstick, now slightly smudged, like she'd been rushing. I opened the door. Did something happen? I asked. She exhaled shakily. We need to talk, inside. I stepped aside. She walked in and placed the bags on my kitchen counter before turning to me. I spoke to someone today, she began slowly. Someone from my past. Someone who knows how Jackson operated back then. Her voice wavered. And what they told me isn't good. A chill crawled across my skin. What did they say? They said Jackson never works alone. She closed her eyes briefly, then met mine. There's someone else. A partner? Someone who helps cover his tracks? Someone who brokers deals and buys silence. My mouth went dry. Who? She swallowed. A woman named Marcella Reyes. The name hit me like a slap. Marcella was one of the most powerful PR fixers in Miami. Quiet, expensive, discreet. She built reputations, she buried scandals, she erased problems. And if she was working with Jackson, then this wasn't just a petty revenge plot. This was professional. This means, Celeste continued, if Jackson feels cornered, Marcella will step in. She's ruthless. She'll twist the narrative so thoroughly that you'll look like the aggressor, the liar, the unstable partner. My heartbeat skidded. Why would she protect him? Celeste gave me a grim, tired look. Because Jackson gives her clients, big ones, developers, investors, luxury brokers. He feeds her work. She keeps his image flawless. It's mutually beneficial. I sank onto the couch. So I'm not fighting just one person. No, Celeste whispered. You're fighting a machine. Silence hung between us, heavy and suffocating. Then she added quietly, but machines break. You just need the right leverage. I looked up at her. And what leverage do we have? She reached into her bag and pulled out a folded paper. It was another forwarded email. This one was worse. It was Marcella writing to Jackson. If she catches on, we'll frame it as emotional instability. Don't worry. Miami loves a fall from grace story. My breath stilled. She knew, I whispered. She knew exactly what he was doing. Celeste nodded. That's why we can't wait forever. We need the perfect moment, yes. But we need to build momentum first. You need enough allies so they can't silence you. Enough documentation so they can't twist the truth. I rubbed my temples. This is bigger than I thought. Celeste placed a firm hand on my shoulder. That's why I came. I'm not letting him do to you what he did to me. You're not alone in this. I swallowed the lump in my throat. Then my phone buzzed. Again. I glanced down. A new message. This time, from Marcela Reyes. We should meet. There are things you don't understand. MR. My blood turned to ice. Celeste's expression darkened. She's making contact. That means they're adjusting their strategy. Is this bad? I whispered. It means, Celeste said carefully, that they're scared you're gaining traction. And then she added, but it also means they're about to make their biggest move yet. A heavy silence filled the room. Outside, Miami's night glowed like neon heat. Inside, everything was shifting. The war was no longer quiet, no longer shadowed. It was coming into the light. And I had one choice. Face it head on, or get crushed. Marcela's message glowed on my screen like a warning flare. We should meet. There are things you don't understand. MR. I stared at it for a long moment, my thoughts spinning like a hurricane over Biscayne Bay. Marcela Reyes wasn't the type to reach out. She was the type people hired when they wanted their messes buried 10 feet under the ocean floor. If she wanted to meet me now, it meant she had something to gain, or something to hide. Celeste leaned forward, reading the message over my shoulder. Well, she murmured, that accelerates the timeline. I turned to her. Should I respond? She hesitated, a rare crack in her usual composure. Respond, she said finally, but don't meet her alone. I nodded, already typing. We can talk. Tomorrow morning. Public place. Halston. The read receipt appeared instantly, followed by 10 a.m., the lobby of the Sapphira Hotel. Come alone. MR. I felt my stomach drop. Celeste cursed under her breath. She's trying to control the environment. That's her territory. Neutral on the surface. But she'll have influence there. Staff, security, cameras she probably arranged herself. So, do I still go? Celeste met my gaze, her expression grim and determined. You go, she said, but not unprepared. A chill ran down my spine. Okay, I whispered. Then help me prepare. We spent the next 2 hours building a strategy. Celeste insisted we set up 3 layers of protection. 1. Documentation. I would bring a sealed folder to the meeting, copies of evidence, timeline notes, signed statements. Not the originals, not the most sensitive pieces, just enough to show I wasn't empty-handed. 2. A dead man's trigger. If anything happened to me, a trusted contact would receive a full package of evidence automatically. Celeste volunteered without hesitation. You don't know how deep this goes, she warned. Marcela's entire business relies on controlling narratives. If she feels threatened, she can get creative. Her voice made my skin prickle. 3. Recording legally. Florida is a 2-party consent state. So I couldn't secretly record audio, but I could record video. Body language, behavior, anything she willingly said with a camera visible. So I set my phone to record and tucked it into a slim crossbody bag with the camera lens exposed. Nobody can argue with what they can see, Celeste said. By the time midnight hit, the plan was set. The fear in my chest remained, but it no longer controlled me. Something else took its place. Resolve. Dekshawo a.m. Sapphira Hotel lobby. The Sapphira looked like luxury dipped in liquid gold. Marble floors, champagne-colored chandeliers, a scent of citrus and money floating in the air. I stepped inside, my heels clicking like tiny countdowns. Marcela was already there. She sat in an emerald dress that matched the jewel tones of the hotel, legs crossed, posture flawless, a tablet resting on her lap. Her hair fell in sleek curls around her shoulders. She didn't wave. She didn't smile. She simply watched me approach with a calmness that made my skin crawl. Halston, she said, her voice smooth as glass. Thank you for agreeing to meet. I didn't have much of a choice, I replied softly. She tilted her head. There is always a choice. People simply choose poorly under pressure. I took the seat across from her. So, I said, what is it you think I don't understand? Her lips curved slightly. Jackson told you many things, some true, some twisted. I held her gaze. He fabricated reviews, emails, complaints. He tried to isolate me from clients. He crafted a narrative where I look unstable. Marcella didn't flinch. Yes, she said, he did. The admission stunned me. You're not denying it. Denying reality is for amateurs, she replied casually. Jackson is sloppy. He gets emotional. He reacts quickly. My job is to maintain control when he loses it. My stomach nodded. So you know everything he's doing. Of course. Then why are you here? She leaned forward slightly, her eyes sharpening. Because you're becoming a problem. There it was. The confirmation. Jackson is panicking, she continued. He's making mistakes, contacting people he shouldn't, sending emails he shouldn't, drawing attention. She sighed, like this was all a mildly inconvenient mess. I'm here to contain the damage for everyone involved. Everyone involved. That phrase made my heart stutter. What do you want from me? I asked carefully. Her eyes softened with something almost like pity. A truce, I blinked. A truce? Yes, she said. You walk away quietly. No documentary, no accusations, no public spectacle. In return, your reputation stays intact. I felt my pulse spike. You expect me to let him destroy everything I've built and stay quiet? No, she corrected gently. I expect you to protect yourself. You are talented, Halston. You could build something again. Elsewhere. Away from him. My jaw tightened. So your solution is exile? She didn't deny it. It's better than what will happen if you continue. My voice came out thin and sharp. And what exactly will happen? She glanced down at her tablet. Then she swiped and turned the screen toward me. It was a draft article, professionally written, formatted, and ready for publication. The headline read, Behind the Glamour, Insider Reveals, Staggering Emotional Instability of Miami stager Halston Vieira. I felt the air leave my lungs. Below it, quotes from anonymous sources, fabricated stories, claiming I had breakdowns, missed deadlines, sabotaged projects. Photos of me taken outside my apartment, zoomed in, grainy, like a stalker had followed me. This is just a preview, Marcella said quietly. If you escalate, this goes live. Others will follow. You'll be painted as unpredictable, unprofessional, unstable. I forced myself to swallow. You would ruin me. No, she corrected. I would protect my client. And what about protecting other people he hurts? What about women like Celeste? Like me? For the first time, a crack formed in Marcella's cold poise. Her eyes flickered, just for a moment. People fall, she said. It is not my job to cushion the landing. I stared at her, the fire inside me building. And what if I refuse your truce? She leaned back. Then the story will be written without your input. Silence stretched taut between us. Then, my phone buzzed inside my bag. A message from an unknown number. I glanced down. Check your email, urgent. The sender? A developer I hadn't spoken to in months. My hand shook as I opened my inbox. At the top, forwarded message. Jackson Cole has contacted my team with disturbing claims about you. Call me ASAP. RG. My vision blurred. He was accelerating. Marcella watched my expression shift. This is your last chance, Halston. I lifted my head slowly, and something inside me hardened like stone. No, I said. This is your last chance. Her eyes narrowed. You don't know what you're starting. I stood. I know exactly what I'm starting. For the first time, her composure cracked. Just slightly. Don't be foolish, she warned. But I was already walking away. Not foolish, not afraid. Just done being hunted. And ready to fight. The war was now public. And neither Jackson nor Marcella knew the storm coming for them. I walked out of the Sapphira Hotel with my heart still pounding, but something inside me had shifted. Not fear, not panic. Clarity. Marcella had shown me her weapon. Now she had no idea what weapons I had. As soon as I reached my car, I dialed Celeste. She picked up instantly. Well? She threatened me, I said. Politely, elegantly, with a fully drafted hit piece ready to publish. Celeste hissed softly. That's her style. She wants me to walk away quietly. No documentary. No noise. And what did you say? I told her she's out of time. There was a long silence. Then Celeste whispered, almost reverently, Good girl. I drove straight back to my apartment. The moment I stepped inside, I locked the door behind me and spread everything across the kitchen island. The copies of emails, screenshots, testimony notes, timelines. My entire case laid out like a battlefield map. Jackson and Marcella thought they were tightening a noose around me, but they didn't realize I'd already slipped out of it. I wasn't scared anymore. I was furious, focused, dangerous. And when someone with nothing left to lose becomes focused, that's when the tide turns. I grabbed my laptop, opened my editing software, and pulled up my reconstruction sequence, the framework for my documentary. But before I could continue, my phone began buzzing violently. It wasn't a call. It was notification after notification, emails, texts, Instagram DMs, LinkedIn messages. My stomach knotted as I opened them. Every message had the same source. Jackson. He was spiraling. Badly. And he was writing to people he absolutely should not have contacted. Real estate agents, developers, staging partners, even interior designers we'd only met once at conferences. His emails were frantic, messy, wildly inconsistent. Some were desperate. Please don't listen to Halston. She's confused. Some were manipulative. She's unstable. I'm trying to help her, but she refuses treatment. And some were almost threatening. If she contacts you, forward me everything. She is not acting rationally. I felt my breath shake. He was losing control. Fast. And worst of all, I knew exactly what phase this was. Celeste warned me about it. Phase 3 of the manipulator's cycle. Desperation. He'd tried charm. He'd tried sabotage. Now he was trying chaos. But chaos reveals the truth faster than anything. I took screenshots, hundreds of them, sorted and labeled every single message, time-stamped them, highlighted contradictions. This wasn't just evidence. This was motive, pattern, behavior under pressure. Exactly what journalists, lawyers, and the internet love. And exactly what Jackson never thought I'd gather. At 2:14 p.m., my phone rang. I almost didn't answer because the number was unknown, but something told me to pick up. I pressed accept. Halston? A man's voice asked. Yes, who is this? This is RG. You got my email earlier today. My stomach dropped. Right. Yes, you said Jackson contacted your team. He did, RG said. But that's not why I'm calling. He exhaled sharply, the sound jittery and frustrated. I wasn't sure whether to say this, but I spoke to 2 other developers today. Jackson contacted them too. My pulse quickened. What did he say? He said you were mentally unstable, that he was afraid you'd lash out in a public setting, that you were threatening him. I closed my eyes. Of course. Classic projection. Accuse me of what he's doing. He also said, RG continued quietly, that you tried to blackmail him. What? I snapped. Blackmail? I didn't believe it, he said calmly. But Halston, whatever he's planning, he's rolling it out very quickly. Because he knows I'm close, I whispered. Yes, he said, and he's panicking. Badly. That actually steadied me. The more Jackson panicked, the more evidence he left behind. Thank you for telling me, I said. Truly. There was a pause. Then, if you need me to give a statement, I will. Just tell me when. My eyes stung. Another ally. Another voice. Thank you, I breathed. You don't know how much this means. After the call ended, I sat very still. A strange calm settled over me. Something clicked. I wasn't on the defensive anymore. I was building an army. By evening, I'd collected statements from 4 more past clients. 3 agents agreed to appear on camera. 2 more sent me forwarded emails showing Jackson's inconsistencies. Every hour, my evidence grew stronger. By 8 p.m., my living room looked like a command center. Sticky notes, printed photos, screenshots taped to cabinets. The documentary script was taking shape, not just a story of betrayal, but a blueprint of manipulation. I sat at my laptop typing the voiceover. When someone tries to rewrite your identity, the most radical thing you can do is tell the truth, louder than their lies. Then I heard it, a sound outside my apartment door. Soft, slow, deliberate. My body tensed. It wasn't a knock. It was the soft scrape of something sliding across the floor. I moved quietly to the foyer and looked through the peephole. Nobody was there, but on the ground, pressed against my door, was a white envelope. No markings, no name, just an envelope. My heartbeat spiked. I picked it up, hands trembling slightly. I carried it into the kitchen, placed it on the counter, and opened it cautiously. Inside, printed photos of me, taken from a distance, leaving my apartment, walking to my car, meeting Celeste, talking to clients, sitting at a cafe. Someone had been watching me, following me, documenting me. I felt the world tilt sideways. At the bottom of the stack was a single note typed, "This is bigger than you think. You're not the only one being monitored." I stared at the message, ice spreading through my limbs. Monitored? By who? For what? I looked back at the photos. One detail made my skin crawl. These weren't taken on a phone. These were taken on a long-lens professional camera, not casual surveillance. Hired surveillance. My breath quickened. Was it Jackson? Marcella? Someone else entirely? Before I could process another thought, my phone buzzed again. A text from Celeste. "Are you home? I need to talk to you. Urgent. Do not open the door for anyone." See, my throat tightened. Something was happening. Something bigger. Something accelerating. I typed back, "Yes, I'm home. What's going on?" 3 dots appeared, then disappeared, then reappeared. Finally, they're not just building a story about you, they're trying to erase the people helping you too. Halston, I think they found out about me. I froze, every muscle in my body locked. If they were targeting Celeste now, this wasn't war anymore. This was scorched earth. For a long moment, I couldn't breathe. Celeste's final message stared back at me. "I think they found out about me." My hands shook so hard I almost dropped my phone. The room felt smaller, tighter, like the walls were folding inward. I typed with trembling fingers. "Where are you? Are you safe?" The typing bubble appeared, then vanished. Appeared again. Finally. "I'm fine for now. But we can't meet at your place. We're being watched. Meet me somewhere loud, crowded. I'll text you coordinates." See, coordinates. She was treating this like a covert operation, which meant it was worse than I thought. Before I could respond, another message buzzed through, this time from an unknown number. A chill shot up my spine. I opened it. "You think Celeste can protect you? She couldn't protect herself. Stop before this gets uglier." No signature, but I knew who it was. Not Jackson. This message wasn't chaotic or emotional. This was calculated, tight, controlled. This was Marcella. I felt something inside me finally snap. Fear evaporated. Anger took its place, cold and focused. I typed a single reply. "Stay away from her. Stay away from me. Or you're going to regret it." No response. Fine. I grabbed my keys, stuffed the envelope of surveillance photos into my bag, and headed out the door. If they thought intimidation would break me, they didn't understand who they were dealing with. 2 hours later, I found myself standing in the middle of Wynwood Market, surrounded by neon murals, street vendors, music, tourists, and the hum of life. The perfect place to blend in. Celeste appeared from behind a vendor stall, wearing oversized sunglasses and a baseball cap, an uncharacteristically casual look for her. She walked fast, grabbed my arm, and steered me behind a food truck. "We only have a few minutes," she whispered. "They're tracking my movements." My stomach twisted. "Tracking you how?" She reached into her bag and pulled out a small black box, barely bigger than a USB stick. A tracking device. "Oh my God, where did you find that?" "In my car," she replied, voice tight. "They put it under the wheel well." My breath left my body. Marcella's involvement wasn't passive PR cleanup anymore. This was surveillance, harassment, intimidation, organized. Celeste swallowed hard. Halston, we need to accelerate. The longer we wait, the more dangerous this becomes. What do you mean accelerate? She leaned closer. Release the documentary. My heartbeat spiked. Now? But we haven't finished the testimony recordings, the timeline, the expert commentary. We don't have time for perfect, she snapped. We have time for impact. I stepped back. Celeste, if I drop it now, they'll spin it as impulsive, emotional. She grabbed my shoulders. They're already framing you that way. Every hour we wait, they rewrite the narrative further. You need to seize control. I blinked hard, trying to steady myself. Is this about me? Or about you? You're scared they'll come after you next. She froze. Her silence said everything. And suddenly something in me sharpened. This isn't just about my reputation anymore, I said softly. It's about both of us surviving this. Celeste exhaled shakily. That's why I need you to listen. They will not stop. Not until you're silent or gone. Gone. The words sliced through me like glass. She continued. You said you wanted to expose Jackson. But you have to understand. Exposing him means exposing her. And Marcella plays dirtier than he ever could. I clenched my jaw. Good. Then she picked the wrong target. But Celeste wasn't convinced. She glanced over her shoulder repeatedly, scanning the crowd. Halston, I'm not being dramatic. Marcella knows how to control the press, law enforcement, investors. She builds empires by burying people alive. Anger flared inside me. Then we make sure she can't bury us. How? Celeste demanded. She has resources we don't. She has reach we don't. You don't take down someone like Marcella with a single documentary. I inhaled slowly. Then we don't use just one. Celeste blinked. What? We release the documentary, I whispered. But we also release everything else. Raw footage, email archives, a website with full receipts, a timeline, screenshots, forwarded messages. She stared at me. And we send it to every client, every agent, every developer. We blast it across social media, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Reddit. We make it impossible to spin. Celeste looked stunned, impressed even, but her expression darkened. That will start a wildfire. That's the point. Halston, she breathed. This will destroy Jackson. Good. This will destroy Marcella too. I held her gaze. Even better. Celeste stepped back. You don't understand. When people like Marcella fall, they take everyone down with them. She'll drag your name, your career, your future. I shook my head. No, she already tried. I'm just hitting back. Celeste's jaw tightened. You're not thinking big enough. This isn't about reputation anymore. This is about safety. My pulse thudded. What aren't you telling me? She hesitated, then pulled another folded paper from her pocket. I wasn't going to show you this until I was sure. I unfolded it. My breath caught. It was a background dossier. Not about Jackson, not about Marcella. About me. My name, my family, my address, my previous employer, my tax documents, old social media posts, things I deleted years ago, notes highlighted, circled, comments I didn't understand. Celeste. My voice shook. What is this? It's what Marcella builds before she destroys someone, she whispered. This is her signature. She digs for weakness, vulnerabilities, pressure points. I stumbled back, gripping the edge of the food truck. They're preparing to smear me, I whispered. No, Celeste said quietly. They're preparing to erase you. The world tilted slightly. I pressed a hand to my forehead. So what do we do? Celeste swallowed hard. You fight with everything you have, and you don't stop until they're the ones running. Before I could respond, her eyes suddenly widened. She grabbed my wrist. We have to move, now. What? Why? She jerked my arm, pulling me behind the truck. Someone's watching us. My heart lurched. Who? I don't know, but they're taking photos. Panic shot through me. I risked a glance. A man in a gray hoodie stood at the far end of the market, camera pointed directly at us. The same kind of long lens camera used in the photos from my envelope. Celeste gripped my arm. Halston, they've escalated. I swallowed hard. What do we do now? Celeste's voice dropped to a whisper. Now, we run. We ran. Not dramatically, not the kind of running you see in movies, but fast enough that our footsteps blended into the Wynwood market noise. Celeste kept her head low, gripping my wrist as we navigated through crowds, weaving between food stalls, art vendors, and tourists, taking photos of neon murals. My pulse thundered in my throat. Behind us, I could still feel the lens of that long camera trained on our backs. Or maybe it was just paranoia. But paranoia is just fear with too much evidence. We slipped into a side alley behind a mural of a giant tiger, the smell of spray paint still fresh in the air. Celeste pressed her back to the wall and took a shaky breath. "They're tracking us faster than I expected," she whispered. "That man wasn't random." "No kidding," I said, trying to catch my breath. "What do we do now?" Celeste scanned the alley, voice low and urgent. "We separate." "What?" "No. It's smarter," she insisted. "If they're watching me, they'll follow me. You need to get out of here and start compiling everything. Tonight." I shook my head violently. "I'm not leaving you alone with them hunting you." She gripped my shoulders, her hands trembling. "Halston, I've been through worse than this. I can disappear for a few hours. You," she poked my chest, "are the one they need to silence." I swallowed. She was right. Jackson could slander me. Marcella could erase me. But neither of them could survive proof. Celeste squeezed my hands. "Go home. Don't take your car. It might be tagged. Get a rideshare, cash only. And Halston," she looked at me, eyes suddenly soft. "Finish the documentary, tonight. No more waiting." My chest tightened. "What about the rest of the evidence? The testimonies? The timeline? Release what you have. Trust me," she said, stepping back. "Momentum is more powerful than perfection." She started walking toward the street. I reached out. "Celeste, wait." She turned, lifting her sunglasses just enough to reveal her eyes. "Don't worry about me," she whispered. "Worry about surviving this." Then she disappeared into the crowd. I stood still, frozen between fear and purpose. Then my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "The tiger mural. Clever. You can run, Halston, but you're only delaying the inevitable." My stomach dropped. They saw us. They saw everything. I forced myself to move, slipping out the opposite side of the alley, blending into a group of tourists headed toward a rideshare pickup point. By the time I got into a car, my hands were shaking so badly the driver asked if I was okay. "I'm fine," I lied. I wasn't fine, but I had work to do. It took 27 minutes to get home. Every stoplight felt like a trap. Every passing car felt like a threat. Every shadow felt like someone watching. When I finally reached my apartment lobby, I kept my head down and walked quickly through, ignoring the concierge who tried to greet me. Inside my unit, I locked every lock, door chain, deadbolt, even a chair under the handle. Then I exhaled and got to work. My kitchen counter became a war zone again. Screenshots, printed photos, folders, sticky notes, voice memos. My laptop hummed with files loading, importing, exporting. Every second mattered. Every hour was borrowed time. I opened my editing software and loaded the documentary timeline. It was messy, incomplete, missing transitions and polished segments, but it didn't matter. Truth doesn't need polish. I added new screenshots, new timestamps, new statements, new footage of me talking directly into the camera, raw anger in my voice. I recorded the narration in a single take. When someone tries to destroy your life, they expect you to break quietly. They don't expect you to fight back. My throat tightened as I spoke. This wasn't just a video. This was survival. Then, my phone buzzed. I hesitated before looking. A text from Alyssa. "Check your email, now." My heart jumped. I opened my inbox, breath held. A forwarded message. From Jackson. Sent to a dozen real estate partners, CC'd to others. Subject line. "Urgent, Halston Vera, safety concern." I opened it with shaking fingers. It read, "If any of you hear from Halston, please notify me immediately. She is not well. She has made threats against herself and possibly others. I am working with professionals to ensure she gets help. My chest collapsed inward. He was building a story, a narrative, a terrifying one. He wasn't just calling me unstable. He was painting me as dangerous. The kind of person who would hurt herself. The kind of person people would be afraid of. My vision blurred. I dialed Alyssa immediately. She answered before the first ring finished. Halston, did you see it? Yes, I whispered. He's escalating. He's not just escalating, she said. He's trying to pre-frame you as suicidal. So anything you release can be dismissed as an emotional breakdown. I pressed a hand over my mouth. Because she was right. This wasn't reputation sabotage anymore. This was character assassination. Targeted, calculated, deadly in its implications. I swallowed hard. Alyssa, thank you. Thank you. You're not alone in this, she said. Whatever you need, I'll help. My throat tightened. Stay safe, I whispered. You too. I hung up and stared at the email again, anger rising like a slow burn. He thought he could rewrite my identity, erase my truth, invalidate my voice. Not anymore. I finished the cut of the documentary. A raw, imperfect, fierce truth. At 1:12 a.m., my cursor hovered over the upload button. My hands trembled. This was it. The moment everything would either break or reveal. I clicked. Upload in progress. 12%, 24%, 47%. My heart hammered. 71%, 89%. Then, 99%. And then, failed. The screen froze. A notification popped up. Network connection lost. My breath caught. I checked my Wi-Fi. Disconnected. But the router lights were blinking. All of them. Not flickering randomly. Blinking in a pattern. Like someone had remotely interfered. A cold wave washed over me. My phone buzzed. A new message. No name, no number. Just text. We told you to stop. My blood turned to ice. They weren't just watching. They were inside my network. Inside my home. Inside everything. A shiver ran up my spine as I whispered to myself, this is war. And it wasn't digital anymore. It was personal. The moment I saw the message, we told you to stop, my entire body went cold. The apartment felt different. Not empty. Not quiet. Just occupied. Like something unseen had slipped into the room with me. I stood frozen, staring at the blinking router lights, their frantic rhythm like a Morse code warning. My documentary upload wasn't just interrupted. Someone had cut it. Deliberately, cleanly, with access they shouldn't have. I backed away from the counter, every nerve in my body buzzing. My phone buzzed again. A second message. This is your final warning. I didn't reply. Didn't dare. Instead, I grabbed my laptop, shoved it into my bag, and headed straight for the door, but stopped with my hand on the handle. If they were inside my network? Were they watching me? Listening? Waiting? I swallowed hard and stepped back. Think, Halston. Don't panic. Panic gets you killed. I needed to get out, but not blindly. I turned off every light in the apartment, unplugged the router entirely, and grabbed only the essentials. Laptop, external drives, a thin hoodie, and a power bank. Then I climbed onto the balcony, 10 floors up. The wind hit my face like a slap, hot and humid and carrying the distant noise of downtown nightlife. Below me, the streetlights glowed in rows. People walked, cars honked. Miami pulsed like it didn't know a war was happening above it. I swung one leg over the railing. This wasn't about jumping, it was about access. My balcony connected to the emergency stairwell, a design flaw I always ignored until now. I pulled myself over, pressed my back against the wall, and quietly slipped inside the stairwell. Only when the heavy fire door shut behind me did I finally exhale. I was out. For now. I descended the stairs 2 floors before stopping to text Celeste. My network was hacked. They blocked the upload. I'm leaving my apartment now. Where are you? H. A few agonizing seconds passed. Then, safe house. Don't come here. Go somewhere unexpected. Blend. Stay moving. We regroup in 2 hours. C. Safe house? Celeste was more prepared for this than I realized. Before I could reply, she sent one more message. Halston, be careful. They're willing to cross lines. I stared at the screen. The implication chilled me. This wasn't reputation warfare anymore. It wasn't legal threats or PR spin. It was physical. I tucked my phone away, hurried down the stairs, and slipped out the side exit into the alley behind my building. A rideshare would be obvious. They could track it. So I walked fast. Head down, hood up, heart pounding. Every shadow felt like it was breathing. Every car idling at a stop sign felt like it was waiting for me. I didn't stop until I reached a late-night laundromat 5 blocks away. The buzzing neon sign flickered as I stepped inside, the smell of detergent strangely comforting. Only 3 people were there. An elderly woman folding clothes, a young man on his phone, and the attendant half asleep behind the counter. Neutral territory. I settled into a plastic chair in the corner, opened my laptop, and connected to public Wi-Fi. Risky, but necessary. I tried uploading again. The file rendered, processed, reached 32%, 47%, 71%. My heart climbed with it. At 82%, a pop-up appeared. Upload error, source file corrupted. My jaw clenched. Impossible. I checked the original clip. It didn't open. I checked the backup folder. Half the files were missing. Gone. A chill washed down my spine. They didn't just hack my network. They wiped my files. Anger hit me like a physical force. They were escalating, destroying evidence, trying to erase my voice before I could speak. But they underestimated one thing. I'm impossible to silence. I pulled out my external drive. It still worked. Thank God. All the raw footage, screenshots, and documents were intact. But something else wasn't. A new file had been added. A text document. Untitled. I opened it. One sentence. Last chance. That was when my breathing stopped. Not from fear, but fury. Last chance for who? Them or me? Before I could process it, my phone rang. Unknown number. I hit decline. It rang again. Decline. Third time. I answered. I didn't speak. A voice on the other end whispered, "You're making this harder than it needs to be." Jackson. His voice sounded strained, like he hadn't slept, like he was unraveling. "You hacked my network," I said quietly. "I protected myself. You erased my files. I erased a threat. You're spiraling, Jackson." He laughed. Not amused, but broken. "I'm cleaning up, that's all." "By stalking me?" "By staying alive," he said, voice sharp. "You don't understand what you're dealing with." Celeste told me everything. Silence. Then, a harsh inhale. "You talked to her?" "She's helping me." His tone cracked. "No, no, 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 she can't. She doesn't know what she's doing. She knows enough." "You think she's on your side?" he snapped. "Celeste is in this for herself. She always was." I didn't respond. He continued, voice shaking. "You don't know the deals she made. You don't know the people she crossed. Marcella isn't the only danger here." My blood chilled. "What are you saying?" He spoke slowly, carefully. "This doesn't end the way you think. Celeste isn't a victim. She's a liability. To you. To me. To herself." I felt my throat tighten. "You're lying." "No," he said, almost whispering. "I'm surviving." Then the call cut. I sat frozen. What did he mean? Was he deflecting, or warning me, or panicking? One thing became clear. The truth wasn't simple. It wasn't black and white. And if Jackson was afraid of Celeste, then Celeste wasn't telling me everything. I packed up quickly, glancing around the laundromat. The elderly woman had left. The attendant was asleep. Only one person remained, the young man in the corner. He lowered his phone just long enough to look at me. Too long. Too directly. A cold shiver crawled down my spine. I stood, grabbed my bag, and headed for the door. As I exited, my phone vibrated. A new message. From Celeste. "Change of plans. Don't come to me. They found my location. I'm moving again. I'll contact you when I'm safe. C." Then another message immediately after. "And Halston, don't believe anything Jackson tells you. He's desperate. He'll twist anything to save himself." I stared at both messages. Two people, two warnings, two versions of the truth. And I was trapped in the middle. The night felt heavier. Miami's neon glow suddenly sharp and hostile. I whispered to myself, "Okay, Halston, you walk alone from here." Because for the first time, I didn't know who to trust anymore. The Miami night felt hostile. Too bright, too noisy, too awake. I walked fast, weaving through crowds, trying to disappear into the neon wash of the city. My mind spun with the two conflicting warnings echoing in my head. Celeste is a liability. Don't believe anything Jackson says. Two people at war, both claiming they were the one telling the truth. And me, right in the middle, trying not to drown. I reached Biscayne Boulevard and ducked into a tiny 24-hour cafe, nearly empty except for a barista cleaning blenders and a couple whispering in a corner booth. I sat in the back, opened my laptop, and plugged in my external drive. This was it. No more running, no more waiting, no more being hunted. It was time to unleash everything. I opened my documentary project and froze. The timeline had shifted, not destroyed, not deleted. Moved, rearranged. Someone had accessed my drive while I was on the run. My jaw clenched so hard my teeth hurt. They didn't just want to silence me. They wanted to rewrite my voice. I dragged the clips back into place, checked every file, confirmed nothing else was missing. Then I built something new. Not one documentary, not one narrative, but a full multimedia drop. A 22-minute documentary cut, raw unedited footage, email archives, screenshots of fake client complaints, video statements from allies, timeline charts, voice notes, a folder labeled JC, Behavioral Pattern Analysis, and the surveillance photos, proof of escalation, everything, all of it. Not polished, not perfect, but real. As I compiled, my inbox pinged with new messages. From Jackson, from clients, from unknown numbers. And then, one notification froze me. A video call request. From Celeste. My heart stopped. Why now? Why call instead of text? Was she safe? Captured? Compromised? I let it ring twice, 3 times. Then I answered. Her face appeared, half-shadowed, shaky, like the camera was being held by someone moving fast. "Halston," she whispered, "listen to me carefully. I don't have long." My pulse hammered. "What's happening? Where are you?" "I'm..." She looked over her shoulder. "I'm somewhere safe. For now." "Jackson said..." "I know what Jackson said," she snapped, breathless. "And yes, there are things I didn't tell you." I felt my stomach twist. "Celeste, what did you do?" She inhaled sharply, eyes glistening. "Marcella wasn't always Jackson's fixer," she said. "She used to be mine." My blood ran cold. "What?" "I hired her years ago when my staging business was collapsing. I made deals I shouldn't have. I hurt people I shouldn't have. Jackson found out and used it against me." She wiped her face with a shaking hand. "When Jackson approached me, I thought I could fix things, by helping him control the narrative. But then I saw what he was doing to you. And I couldn't let another woman burn for his ego." My throat tightened. "So Jackson wasn't lying." "Not entirely," she said softly. "But he twisted everything. Yes, I made mistakes. Big ones. But I left that world. And Marcella, she wants revenge. On him. On me. On anyone who crosses her." She leaned close to the camera, voice trembling. "Halston, they don't just want to silence you. They want to neutralize me. Permanently." My breath caught. "And if they get to me," Celeste whispered, "you're next." Everything inside me collapsed inward. "Celeste, where do I meet you? I can help." "No," she said firmly. "Finish what you're doing. Expose him. Expose her. It's the only way both of us survive." Her voice cracked. "And Halston, yes? Make sure they remember the truth, not the story they tried to force on you." Then the screen went black. Call ended. I stared at my reflection in the dark screen. Shaken, terrified, but certain of one thing. The truth had to come out. Now. I opened every platform. YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Reddit, LinkedIn, a shared Google Drive link, an anonymous tip line to Miami investigative journalists. And then I hit post, publish, send, upload, all at once, like detonating a bomb made of truth. Notifications exploded instantly. Comments, shares, reposts, messages from people I didn't even know. What is this? OMG, Jackson is unhinged. I worked with him. This makes sense. Proud of you for speaking out. The surveillance pics? Who is Marcela Reyes? Miami woke up, and Jackson's empire cracked like glass. My heart pounded as I refreshed my email. At 2:17 a.m., a flood of responses poured in from agents, clients, even journalists. At 2:23 a.m., Jackson sent a frantic message. "Take it down right now. You don't know what you've done." I didn't reply. At 2:31 a.m., Marcella emailed. "You've made a serious mistake. You've endangered people you care about. Take it down." I still didn't reply. At 2:42 a.m., the story hit Twitter's trending page. Yicom Halston Vieira, New Miami staging scandal. Expose the fixer. At 3:05 a.m., an investigative journalist I'd contacted wrote, "We're running this. Stay somewhere safe. Police have been notified." I felt my knees weaken. Then, a new message. Not from Celeste, not from Jackson, not from Marcella. From a private email I didn't recognize. Subject line: "Thank you for giving us courage." The message simply read, "We've been waiting for someone to speak first. Many of us. You started something bigger than you know." My chest tightened. A slow, quiet sob escaped me. Not from fear, not from panic, but from something like release. A liberation I didn't know I needed. I sat back in my chair, exhausted, shaking, but alive. Miami was still glowing outside. Cars still moving. Waves still crashing somewhere far off. But something fundamental had shifted. I wasn't a victim anymore. I wasn't prey. I wasn't running. I had spoken, and people had listened. I opened a blank document and typed, "The truth doesn't protect you from pain, but it frees you from silence." I closed my laptop. For the first time in months, maybe years, I felt whole again. And the war that nearly destroyed me, it ended exactly how it should, with the truth winning, and me, the real me, finally reclaiming my voice.